Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Mrs.Wina Welcome to my presentation of a reading report. This presentation is submitted as partial fulfillment of the EFL teaching methodology assignment. Well, happy watching! But before I'm going to presentation, I would like to thank you so much for our beloved lecturer of teaching methodology subject who give me a chance to presentation now. They are Prof. Nenden and Ibu Ika. Okay, let's get started. I will present about history of reflective teaching and an essay of reading report of EFL teaching methodology is based on the book of chapter 2 Historical Roots of Reflective Teaching by Kenneth Zeincher and Daniel Liston from page 9 until 20. This presentation is going to discuss about the history of reflective teaching from the educational philosopher who many contribution of educational thinking. And I will start it by 4 concepts. The first, the way contribution. What is reflective teaching? In here I will share about the background of reflective teaching from the West perspective. And the second, what is reflection? Scone conception. And the third, about related theories and related research reports. And the fourth, about critical analysis and conclusion. Okay, the first material, what is reflective teaching from the West contribution? Okay. The background or the history of reflective teaching according to the way it is the process of reflection for teachers begins when they encounter difficulty, troublesome event or experience that cannot be immediately resolved. As we know that John Dewey is one of educator or influencer who has strong feelings about the theory of reflection in education as important for the ways in teaching in the 20th century. And the second perspective from Donald Scone has written his understanding widely about reflective practice, highlighting its use in several fields such as architecture and medicine. One of Donald's second greatest contribution to professional education was to stress the role of reflection within the learning process. Okay, the next. Okay, the meaning of reflective teaching. The way defines reflective action as that which involves active, persistent, and careful consideration of any belief or practice in light of the reasons that support it and the further consequences to which it leads. And John Dewey placed great emphasis on reflective thought and saw it as an important part of cycle that enable us to learn from experience. And it is his characteristic is about experience. He believes that reflective thought began when we found ourselves having an experience that raised some difficulties or dilemmas. And the other meaning of reflective teaching by Mandy and Tom Russell, reflective teaching refers to as puzzle of practice. Teachers step back to analyze their experience and the ways, I think. And for the way, there are 3 attitudes of the integral of reflective action. The first, open-mindedness, and the second, responsibility, and the third, wholeheartedness. Okay, open-mindedness is an active desire to listen to more sides than one, to give full attention to alternative possibilities, and to recognize the possibility of error even in beliefs that are dearest to us. Okay, open-minded accept the strengths and limitation of these things ways of looking at students, learning and schooling. Responsibility. An attitude of responsibility involves careful consideration of the consequences to which an action leads. This attitude of responsibility involves thinking about at least 3 kinds of consequences of one's teaching. Okay, the first, personal consequences, academic consequences, social and political consequences. This attitude of responsibility has to involve a reflection about unexpected outcomes of teaching. The next attitude, wholeheartedness. Teachers who are wholehearted regularly examine their own assumptions and believe that the result of their action and approach all situations with the attitude that they can learn something new. 3 attitudes are disposition that push one toward a critical and sportive examination of one's teaching, reflection, and the pressure of teaching. The Dewey's idea regarding the concept of reflective teaching might seem to be somewhat idealized and differs from the complex and uncertain reality of teachers' work. What is reflection from Schon conception? Alright, based on Schon, the reflective practitioner examining professional practice, Schon identified 2 types of reflection. They are reflective on action and reflective in action. Reflection on action involves reflecting on an experience, situation, or phenomenon after it has occurred. When professionals reflect on action, they explore what happened in that particular situation, why they act as they did, whether they could have acted differently, and so on. And the second, we are teaching, we attempt to adjust our instruction to take into account these reactions. Reflection in action, sometimes described as thinking on our feet, is the process that allows professionals to receive the situation or activity on which they are working while it is unfolding. Okay, the next criticism of Schon conception, reflection are 2 activities. The first, a singular or dialogical activity in which they practice, and the conversation of mentor and novice practitioner as the mentors attempt to coach the novice. Second does not discuss how teachers and other professionals can and do reflect together about their work on a regular basis. Implicit in this type of collaborative and cooperative environment is the element of trust. The next reflection is contextual. Another criticism of Schon work is that he focused on teaching practice at the level of the individual without sufficient attention to the social conditions that frame and influence the practice. Alright, the next, related theories. I have the books from Rob Phillips and title of the books is Reflective Teaching of History. And in this book, reflection provides a means for understanding teaching. An essential feature of this involves equipping the emerging teacher with the capacity to understand why certain practices are effective and other are not. Okay, as its name suggests, refers to ways in which professionals make sense of their own practice through evaluation, analysis and experience. And learning to experience, this last point reminds us of the way in which student teacher can learn from experience, but unless that experience is organized in certain way, learning can actually be inconsistent. The next, related research. The related article was conducted by Belmelki L. entitled Teacher Attitude Towards Reflective Teaching and Professional Development. The objectives of this study is to stress the following point. Attitude can be the key for teacher to become reflective and develop professionally. There is a need for teachers' awareness to reflective teaching, as this is an essential instrument to perform the duties and designs and intended for the topic assigned. Thus, the researcher recommends the following. Teacher education program must have reflective teaching designs to prepare for free service English teachers. And teaching is no easy job, right? Teachers are bound to be students for life. They attend classes for professional growth. It is a ticket to learn more of themselves and their students. They are always thinking what is the best for their student. Their ups and downs in this profession will provide them with a meaningful experience before they are called a great teacher. Okay, the next, critical analysis, reflective teaching. Okay, experience, reflection, and learning. What's going on? Okay, when reflection is associated with experience, learning, and action, a specific meaning that is so much a centerpiece of theory and practice that it is tempting to assume that we all use it in exactly the same way, and that its meaning is fixed. Reflective teaching, remembering, thinking about, and evaluating a teaching experience to make decisions about future plans and action. Reflective teacher understands the things that influence, such as 1. Practical theories about teaching. 2. The teaching context, class size, student language levels, access to technology, textbooks, curriculum, and the 3rd, knowledge, attitude, and values. And I hope that by carrying out this reflective teaching, teachers are able to improve their professionalism. The question is the extent to which our awareness as teachers will practice the teaching we do every day, and the sense of our willingness to change towards improvement. The teacher is the person who influences the implementation of education, because it is the teacher who directly leads the teaching and learning activities in the classroom, which is the core of educational activities. Therefore, the teacher is the first person who is responsible for the quality of education in school. And then the next, conclusion. Reflective teaching. Historically and conceptually, the way provides the foundation for our understanding of reflective teaching. And the way is helpful because his elaboration points us in the right direction. Okay, because of the very important role Teachers are required to have high professionalism in carrying out their duties. Okay, the next related topic. It is appropriate that the mentor takes on the role of the organizer, teacher, and facilitator towards the end of the course. Sometimes what teachers expect in their classroom is different from reality. In fact, teachers often face many problems in the teaching and learning process. For example, a teacher has planned a lesson very well, but the practice in classroom is very different and the results are not as expected, or the teaching method suggested by the curriculum doesn't work well with the situation in the classroom. Therefore, it is very important that to be a reflective teacher, a teacher should be able to record what they have done in the class. Okay, Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. I think that's all for me. Thank you so much for the attention, and I'm so sorry if I have a mistake when I presented. Thank you, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you. Thank you for watching. I love teaching methodology. Bye.